The next topic is going to be the topic of health care. I'm sure you're all aware that recently a massive health care bill, which consumes approximately 16% of our annual economy, has passed both the House and the Senate, and the President hailed it as a historic piece of legislation. Very specifically, if you are elected to the United States Senate, you will be asked countless number of times to vote on different implementation portions of this piece of legislation. Have you read the bill, and how will you work to edit this bill? Two-part question, please.
Thank you. I think the bill started off as 2,405 pages and until it went to 2,700 pages because the Congress added nationalizing student loan programs to health care. Does that make sense to you? I don't think so. It wouldn't happen in New Hampshire because we don't believe in non-germane amendments being attached. I have not read the entire bill. I'm glad I didn't, frankly, but I did research it. And you know, you can find the Cornhusker kickback in that bill, the original Senate bill. If you do a search of Nebraska, you'll find it. I think it's page 2105. Test me on this one. 3 lines. Exempting Nebraska from the expense of Medicaid. This bill is wrong as a matter of policy. It's wrong as a matter of procedure. People were bribed to vote for that bill. They shouldn't have been. That's not the way the Congress should function. And the Congress has no role in nationalizing health care. It's not a constitutionally delegated authority and power, any more than education is. I would oppose the implementation steps for this bill. I would work to repeal it. And in the meantime, support pro-growth, pro-competitive market forces for health care. How many of us choose to purchase health care services on the basis of cost and quality? Not too many of us, because our system isn't designed that way. We need to bring market forces to bear so that people can make an educated decision about their health care services, and one that will lead to higher quality, lower costs. But that's not by a one-size-fits-all approach. Paul Hodes is wrong. He's dead wrong in this bill. He called the people who opposed the original House bill members of the Flat Earth Society. I'm looking around this room. I guess we're all members of the Flat Earth Society. He's contemptuous of us. He's the wrong kind of senator for New Hampshire. He'll support this bill. He'll fight for federal funding of abortions and a public option. We need to make sure Paul Hodes doesn't win on the best chance to fight him, not only in the debate, but to beat him in the election cycle, because I present the strongest contrast with Paul Hodes on all the issues, especially this one. I practice law in health care. I know a little bit about health care. I can make a difference in Washington.
Thank you. Kelly?
I have read portions of the bill, but not all 2,400 or 2,900 page, whichever number it ended up on, 2,750. I will tell you that, number one, it needs to be repealed. It needs to be repealed because fundamentally it's the wrong philosophy. It is creating another entitlement that we can't sustain. We're now in a position where we got a report from CBO a few weeks ago that talks about how this is going to add to our deficit. Well, all of us knew that up front when we knew that they were using 10 years of revenue to pay for 6 years of health care. You know, the math didn't add up, but finally the CBO has told us that. Don't you think that's information that our representatives should have had before they voted on the bill? And now we've had CMS come out and say we're going to see premium increases under the bill. Don't you think that that's the kind of information that our representatives should have demanded before they voted on the bill? I mean, that's doing your homework, but this is a bill that's not only unconstitutional, and I commend the 20 states that are challenging it, because I don't think it's proper for the federal government to dictate to states and individuals that you have to purchase a particular product, or small businesses what they have to do. But also, it does all the wrong things. We can't sustain it under our deficit. It comes between us and our physicians, and it increases premiums, so it hurts our small businesses here in New Hampshire. And any reforms we have shouldn't be growing government. They should be opening up the market for insurance across state lines, allowing small businesses to pull together, and tort reform, so that we have an appropriate litigation system that doesn't require our doctors to practice defensive medicine. But this is a very important issue for our next United States Senator, because many of the most onerous provisions go into effect in 2014. So we need to keep this fight up and absolutely being committed to repeal this, so that we don't have this as an albatross around our neck going forward.
This health care bill was not about improving accessibility to health care. and it was not about lowering the cost of health care. What it was really about is gaining greater control over your lives from cradle to grave. That's what the whole last year has been about. And I did read the health care bill during the weekend of October 18th and 19th of last year. At the time, I remember well, the bill was 1,018 pages. And Representative Conyers of Michigan had just made a very infamous quote, and he said, "No, I hadn't read the health care bill. It would take me 2 weeks and 2 lawyers to even understand what it says." Implicitly saying that my 2 weeks of my time is worth more than the trillions of dollars of your money that I'm going to spend. So I did read it that weekend. By Christmas time, it had ballooned to 2,000 pages. And that was the bill that was passed in 2 different versions by the House and the Senate of our Congress. Then Scott Brown got elected, the 41st vote, and we thought, hallelujah, we'll be able to slow down this runaway train to socialism. But what did we see? We saw procedural tricks, we saw budget gimmicks, we saw unprecedented coercion of congressmen from the White House, and we saw bribery on a massive scale. Now, our Congress has never been full of scouts, but all of a sudden corruption is just spilling out at the seams. And we've got to stop this. It's just not right. The bill that was passed is 2,750 pages. That's 5.5 reams of paper. It's about this big. What that is that big could possibly make sense? The document we've been governing our country with for 231 years is 15 typewritten pages. Why should our Congress never be able to pass anything that's less than 1,000 pages? This just can't be good governance, and none of them have read it. There isn't one person in our Congress that's read this bill that they've signed, and believe me, there's not one person anywhere that understands how it will be implemented. This is bad thinking from start to finish, and it's one of the reasons why we need different types of leaders in Washington.
Thank you.